Hey everyone, welcome to another Mastermind Advisor podcast. Today we're going to talk about the smoke screens or the objections that we're getting at first appointment. So many objections that are coming in where we actually just freeze and we don't know how to handle them and take them to the next step. So these smoke screens that we're getting this first appointment are causing a lot of issues where we think these aren't qualified prospects. They're not willing to go through my agenda. Well, today we're going to go through all of those smoke screens and help you get through them so that way you can get to the second and third meeting and have more closings. Let's tune in. Hey everyone, welcome to another Mastermind Advisor podcast. My name is Vince Oldry. I'm here with Josh Woodward, and today we're going to talk about the smoke screens or the objections that people have when it comes to these online or these virtual type of appointments that we're having. It seems like there's a lot more smoke screens at the beginning because we need to build up some trust a little bit more than when we have these in-person seminars. We kind of get that trust a little bit more. So a lot of times these first appointments can be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a good conversation. I mean, we were just talking to an advisor about these, and I think it's kind of what stirred this podcast episode. But it'll be a good conversation because I'm talking to advisors a lot, and they're getting these appointments. Some of them are writing good business, and some of them just aren't, and they're wondering what's going on. And so the good things, we had Vince on a call the other day with this advisor, and he really just brought up some of his objections, and went through each one of them with him. And so this will be a perfect time to kind of answer those questions. And it's funny because I think if you follow the appointment process that Vince technically lays out there, you kind of get rid of a lot of those smoke screens questions in the front end, but I'm sure they come up regardless, right? And so it'll be good to kind of hear how you object to them, how advisors could overcome those smoke screens and answer them to get that flowing.
But yeah, the smoke screens are it's just it is what it is. It's a smoke screen. They say, oh, I just want to know about taxes. That's all I want. Or I've already worked with an advisor. I'm not going to pay another advisor. They're trying to throw up those blocks right away because they're trying to, they're there for themselves, right? So they want to get some information, but they're also trying to vet you out in a way. And it's just a way that you have to work beyond that. Instead, I think a lot of advisors just shut down. They're like, all right, fine. We'll see you later. And then they get mad because they're like, that's not a qualified appointment. I'm like, what do you mean? Did they have money? Yeah, they had a lot of money. Okay, did they need some help? Yeah, they needed help, but not what I help them with. Well, okay. I mean, the whole thing is you're supposed to have conversations with people to see what type of problems they have and then help them with their problems. So give them what they want and then go around that and find out if there's other potential areas that they're open to listening. If you can help, what they're basically trying to do is get you to see if you'll help them with what they want and then see if there's something else they'll want to work with you with. Just like when they go to a seminar, they're kind of vetting you. They're trying to determine whether or not they want to work with you. Now, some people that do the webinar process, they watch the webinar. Sometimes it's me giving the webinar, so we have that white label, and that trust isn't built as much comparatively to the guys that are giving their actual webinar. And the guys that are giving their actual webinar probably have a little bit, that trust, that barrier is probably not as big to get through. But the advisors that are good at the first appointment are getting a lot of at-bats here versus the ones that aren't. And usually the ones that aren't getting those good at-bats probably aren't doing the best in the first appointment because they're so focused on getting that business. They're so focused on closing that person when they're not just actually just listening to the person, seeing what they want, and giving them what they want at the beginning rather than just, well, I want to go through my agenda, and we're going to go through my agenda, and I need to sell you an annuity, or I need to sell you a financial product, or you have to become a person that works with me with assets under management. I get the objection all the time. I just want to know if we should do Roth conversions or not. Okay, cool. Well, are you all right if I ask you a bunch of questions to see if that makes sense for you or not? Yeah. Okay, cool. And just how this works, I'm building you a retirement plan. So at the end of the day, you'll take the retirement plan. You can go do whatever you want with it. But if you don't want to do this on your own, you can ask for my help. Is that okay? And so we just take that white elephant out of the room, the part where they're like, why are you doing this? Well, yeah, I do it to help people, but I also do it to make money. But I want to do, well, first of all, I do want to work with people that want to work with me anyway. So I'm not just trying to get everybody, but you have to step back a little bit and say, okay, I need to work with this person, get some trust with them, make sure we can work together. And if we can work together, then we can look at other areas of improvement that I can help them out with beyond what they want.
Yeah, that's so funny. It kind of brings up that a little bit of the ego-ness to it, right? Where people are like, "Oh, they want taxes. I can't help you. Sorry, not qualified." Where you're building that rapport, you're kind of growing the relationship with them in those conversations. Like, okay, I get that, but let's look at here and see if it makes sense. Oh, you curious about taxes? Okay, well, let's look at that. I need to do that. We need to look at everything, not just X. And so it is funny when you talk about that, and it is, I think, a key point in what you're saying is like you're building. I wouldn't say rapport, but it's almost like a relationship. Like you're trying to figure out if you both match, right? And regardless of what they want, it's like I want to help you, but if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. And we've talked to some advisors, and this process doesn't work for them a whole lot because they're like, well, yeah, if you want a financial plan, it's going to cost you X. We had an advisor in Chicago. I hope he listens to this, but he was charging $20,000 for a financial plan, something crazy, and he's like, our system didn't work, and I was like, well, yeah, because of the way you're going about it, right? First appointment, you're like, hey, to work with me, it's going to cost you $20,000 a year. Before they even got into the plans, before they got into the wants, before he built in a rapport, and so it is funny on how that works.
Yeah, $20,000 up front. Yeah, you haven't even proved to me why I should work with you in the first place, but because that's a big ticket item. So, hey man, can you turn your mic towards you a little bit?
It's really
well, yeah. I meant like towards you. You got to talk in the top of your mic. Is the deal? There you go. That's what I meant. Like the top. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I got to help out. I mean, this is only like our 18th podcast. And I'm still working on Josh trying to talk in the mic correctly. I just want,
he's got a $400 mic. I'm working off a $20 mic.
It's not $400. It's not $400. It's maybe $200, but $100 more than yours. Yeah. We're working on our production.
It's always the tool. It's never the user. It's like my golf game. I always need new golf clubs. It's never the club. It's never me. It's always the club.
You're sounding like the guy in Chicago.
Don't you ever say that.
Yes. Yeah. When we're doing this stuff now, that guy, I know he was doing stuff. I know who you're talking about now. That guy was doing seminars though, and he still was asking for a lot. Now I know some advisors that I work with that they do charge for a plan, not $20,000, but they'll charge like $1,500, $2,000, sometimes $2,500 per plan, which, that's within most people's wheelhouse. To ask 20 grand up front, man, that's a big check to write. And, you're just kind of getting to know them. I get people will write a check for $20,000 for a car and stuff like that. But, that's something that they need more than that. They don't really, I think it's harder to convince people that they need a financial advisor than they do, a car, for example. So I don't know if that's the right way of going about things. I mean, he's closed some people, but I know he's not knocking it out of the park. So at the end of the day, I would try to do the least path of resistance, build some trust. And so when we, just like the guy that we talked to is like, oh, they said they just come out and just ask me what their fees are. And I'm like, well, it's okay if they ask the fees. Just say, look, my fees range between, I just tell people my fees range between 1 to 1.5%, depending on what portfolio managers we use. But at the end of the day, I don't even know if we're working together yet. Are you okay if we just go through the planning process first? And I tell them up front, here's the expectations, here's what we're going to do. And then if we, at the end of the day, still decide that we're not meant for each other, we'll go our separate ways. And, some advisors I know are using our scripts, some aren't. And I think they're still letting that smoke screen, though, get in the way of, oh, I need, they look at my script as like, it's an ultimatum. No, it's not an ultimatum, meaning that if they're not going to go through like our process, it's an ultimatum that we're not going to, they're taking that part too literal as far as like, if it's not going to work for both of us, we'll part ways. And then the advisors part in ways right before they get into everything. They're not even getting to the second appointment. And I even talk with Mike in my office, and I'll go through his numbers. I'm like, Mike, you will close you're like 50% on the people that you get to the third appointment. If you get into that third appointment, the majority of them, 50% of them are going to close. If you only have a first and a second appointment, that's it. It's not going to work. Now, there are a lot of people listening to me thinking, oh my gosh, 3 appointments? That's a lot of appointments. Well, yeah, it might be, I guess, but to me it's not, because I'm getting to know somebody and I'm moving their money to me. But and to the person, I know it's not the case. And the funny thing is, the majority of these people, if you take it slow and you actually listen, I just had someone on a call, Mark brought me in on this appointment, had this appointment with this guy. You could totally tell he was 79 years old, okay? Did not look 79 years old. Looked like he was 55. But I'm just going through the questions, but you could tell he's been through the ringer, right? All these people have been through the ringer. They've all been jaded at some point, okay? And that's the wall that we have to break down, and that's why they're throwing these fronts up, because they've already been burned somehow, right? So they're already coming in like, I don't want to be sold. Don't try to sell me something. That's what they're trying to do, is by throwing up those fronts or those blocks. And so this guy's like, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if I should buy an annuity or not buy an annuity. And I've talked to a bunch of people already. I've gone to a bunch of seminars. It seems like the annuities are kind of the hot thing. And I'm like, well, I don't know if you need an annuity. I mean, why do you think you need an annuity? And then he's like, oh, I don't know if I really believe in them. And everyone thinks I should buy one. Okay, but do you want one? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, well, I'll tell you what our process is. We'll go through a planning process, and you just tell me what you want. And then what our job is to kind of reverse, do a reverse calculation here. Well, what do you want? And then we'll figure out what's probably best for you. And then we'll go through it, and we'll help you, educate you on everything that you can or shouldn't do. And then you decide at the end. He's like, okay, that sounds great. And so after we get off the call, I'm on this call with Mark, the other advisor. We all get off the Zoom call, and then Mark calls me. He's like, yeah, so let's get this appointment stuff. We're talking about some other things. And then while I'm on the phone with him, that prospect calls me directly. And he's like, hey, I just want to say thank you for that call. It's really refreshing. I felt like you were sincere. You actually cared. And it was just really nice to finally get that. And the funny thing is, I have Mark on the other line. I'm like on speakerphone, and he's hearing this. And so I'm like, yeah, great. I appreciate you. Hang up the phone with the other guy. And I go, Mark, did you get a call? And he's like, shut up. Because if you guys have met Mark's from New Jersey. He's the real blunt kind of upfront guy, likes to move really fast. And here I am. He calls me the sloth. And I don't move fast enough for him. But the difference is, it doesn't mean you have to move slow. It just means if anything that we should get out of that, it's that I listened to him and I was sincere and I cared, and that's what the guy wanted. That's all he wanted. He didn't want someone to sell him a product. He walked into it thinking, I've signed up for a lot of these things online, and maybe I shouldn't do that anymore because I keep getting pitched. And here I did the whole hour call and I didn't do a single pitch. And that's what they just felt like that was refreshing to him.
It's so funny. I mean, as you were saying that, and you started thinking about things like this, and hopefully my mic's better. You started thinking about stuff like this, and it's like, in what world is someone going through Facebook, clicking on a tax guide? You just think about even our funnel. I feel like it's not long enough, but you go tax guide to webinar to appointment, and then advisors are trying to close these people in 1 or 2 appointments. But they're these are $1 million, $2 million accounts, $3 million plus accounts, people's like life savings, right? And like they're willing to trust someone over the internet just through that small little process, even just going through that and then 3 weeks of appointments. It's like you would just think that would need way more than that, right? Like sometimes it takes me maybe it's because I'm just cheap, but it'll take me a month before I like actually want to buy a t-shirt. And here we are having these people that are in retirement willing to trust an advisor that they've just met for maybe a month with all of their life savings and helping them through retirement. It's just crazy to think on that side. But then I get the advisor side, right? Because like our marketing in the past for digital has been pipe full of just leads, right? Smart asset. You get a ton of leads and it's a race. And you're trying to close these people as quick as possible. You're trying to call. There's a million and one online platforms that it's just pure calendar fill, just pure blitz and trying to close businesses as much as possible, as quick as possible. Where if we step back and look at that, if we slow it down, get good quality leads, take your time, grow the rapport, you just have a better chance of closing. And these guys are just, I think we're getting to that spot, right? In life where all these retirees have already gone through the smart asset people and gone through all these like hard pitches. So if you come in with an open mind, take it slower, you kind of stand out from the crowd, right? And you build just that trust like 10 times faster now because they're used to so many people just hounding them and calling them. So
you think about
I was
like,
just thinking that it's just weird.
yeah, I mean, if you think about like all the cell phones, like how many different calls you get and how many random texts you get and it's too much now. They're being sold every which direction. When they Google something, they go onto Facebook later and it's following them. Not if you say something, it's following them, right? Like they feel like they're getting pitched all the time. And I feel like I think it is harder to get the sale nowadays because of that, because people are able to do research online and then we're also competing against like the fishers that have like a whole phone group that's calling everybody and hounding them for days on end. The reason why we built this system and sometimes I'm like, well, maybe we should just give advisors what they want, just give them a crap ton of leads and a bunch of appointments on their calendar, but because that's actually easy like that, like we can put a bunch of appointments on the calendar. I just don't want like a ton of advisors mad because they're not able to, it's just like Smart Asset where they get a ton, potentially a ton of appointments or a ton of leads, but then they're the ones doing the chasing, right? And you're constantly chasing people. And that works. I mean, that just sounds more old school. That sounds like more like the Northwestern Ameriprise Thrivent type days where instead of you cold calling or calling your top 100 list, you're buying these leads that you're still chasing and you're still cold calling and whatnot. So it's just it's not really changed in a way. That's why I think this is the better way, but I'm not always right. I mean, I take it back. I'm always right. But with the things,
it's on there.
Yeah. But
taking that back.
This is just what I like, and I've built systems where I've booked a ton of appointments on my calendar, and it gets a little frustrating because the webinar part does build and the seminar does build that rapport with people. But at the end of the day, they still will throw up those smoke screens. They'll still throw up those blocks, and you need to still work through them, talk with them, give them what they want, and you'll get through it. But a lot of times, what's happening, for example, when someone's like, I just want Roth conversions, what's happening is that they've tried this before, for example, with other advisors, and what other advisors are doing are pitching them something completely different. They're not getting, should they do a Roth conversion or should they not? Because every other advisor isn't actually taking them down that path of giving them what they want, and they're all just trying to pitch them something completely different. That's the whole problem. So instead of you just constantly trying to combat that, just step back a little bit, give them what they want. It's that simple.
Yeah. I mean, you say that now, it's like maybe we just give advisors what they want, just get them a point.
I know.
I just don't like that.
Just give them a ton of appointments.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a different path, right? The path is the way you do that, and we know how to do it. The way you do it is you just do a straight ad to go to a direct webinar to then book an appointment. It's pretty simple, but the show rate is going to be a lot less. You have to convince people a lot more. Your quality is going to drop for sure as far as, asset size. But, sometimes that might be a good thing for some of the advisors we work with, just because, they might not like the higher net worth prospects. Everyone says they do, but, some of us struggle with that. And I think like the straight annuity guys, which they're great too, because I work with them, right? I've been doing their meetings with them. You know, some that I know, or one that I know for sure, he wants to do 70% of their assets into annuity. And I'm like, him and I don't work together on the appointments, even though I've offered, because he's like, well, you won't put more than 40% in annuity. I'm like, nope, I won't. Sorry. Like, I just can't do that. And, Mark will make an argument. Well, don't you want their money to be safer? How could you argue against that? I'm like, well, okay, but we can make it safer, but then when we take income and we're dipping in the principal, that's not what they want, right? That's not, they told us they don't want to dip in the principal. So there's at the end of the day, you still have to work with the client and give them what they want. And yeah, be nice for the advisor to put 70% in the annuity, because they get paid a lot, to do that. But you'll get paid a lot more technically if you're doing what the client wants and you give them what they should want. But I know for the higher net worth prospects, what happens is the higher net worth prospects, they don't want to dip into the principal. They want the least amount of risk with the most amount of return. They want the most income without touching the principal. Okay. Now, when you get to the 500,000 below people, it's a little different. They're worried more about safety. They don't care about market return as much. They don't care about dipping into the principal as much. They just want more guarantee. And so that might work for those people a bit more. But that's just from what I've seen anyway, seems to work out that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because we look at the quality difference, and the funny thing is, I'm actually working with an advisor right now to help them build like a more customized, and we'll do this for some advisors if they want to ask and try it, right? A more annuity focused funnel that just to show, right? And you show them other ends, and I guarantee we'll go back to the webinar and the ebook funnel and all that stuff, since I think in the past 6 months he was in front of like 44 million in assets. But again, it's a lot. The conversation is just numbers with these guys. But it's you just think about these people, and we talk about assets and quality, but at the end of the day, these are still real people. And I don't know how many people would buy like $1 million house over Facebook without actually seeing the house, or see an image of a house that's $1 million, want to buy it, but then get showed pictures of a duplex, right? So it's like we have that conversation, and you start thinking kind of more like that, and it's like we just got to get these people go through the planning, answer their objections. If they want tax advice, help them, but make sure you're looking at that full plan, or get them in touch with someone that can help them with taxes, and you'll build the rapport, and you'll end up closing more people, even just helping someone else for free, knowing that. But if you go in with that mentality, your percentages will just go way up, just going and knowing you're just, hey, I'm just here to help. At the end of the day, if you want to do business, great. If you don't, great. But you asked for help, here I am. Kind of that mentality. And you'll end up just doing way better.
Yeah, I agree. It's just for the advisor, we have a lot of guys that do really well with this. And this podcast is not necessarily to like brag about how good our system is. We're doing this podcast because we want to help advisors, not brag about our system. I truly believe that. I get advisors will say, well, if your system's so great, why don't you just do it yourself and make $1 million, right? Well, what do you think I'm doing? Like, that's what I have a system. I'm doing it myself. And yeah, we have over $100-some million under management now. Like, the thing's working. So doesn't mean we can't train other fish in the sea, or I'm sorry, get other fish. There's plenty of fish in the sea, right? So we can't just, why not just train other people how to fish and get some fish, instead of a lot of advisors struggling. I used to be the struggling advisor, doing the dinner seminars, doing the mailers, I felt like I was running the rat race, right? Going around and around and around. I felt like I was paying money hand over fist for the mailer, for the restaurant. And then, I felt like the FMO definitely won out on that because I'm doing a ton of production and didn't really have much to show for it at the end of the day. This is a little bit different stance where we want to meet with good qualified prospects, not chase them down. It's a little bit different because, if you think about doing a seminar, let's say you did a dinner seminar, 10 people book an appointment at the seminar. If it's a dinner seminar, well, 50 of them might just cancel. And you meet with 5 of them and 3 of them maybe are qualified. And then, you're trying to get 1 of them. The difference is what we're trying to do is remove all that noise with the way we do our seminars and our webinars. You're not meeting with all the people you're not seeing all the people that registered for your webinar or attended your webinar, right? You're only meeting with the people that have gone through the entire process. So a lot of times it feels like we don't have a lot of people we're meeting with because we didn't have to deal with the 20 people at the restaurant and the 10 people that did book an appointment with the 5 that didn't show and only the 5 that did show and 3 of them only being qualified, right? We're only dealing with those 3 qualified. That's it. And so it doesn't seem like as much, but we're just removing a lot of the noise, to be honest, and getting rid of all that. Because I only want to work with people that are qualified. I only want to work with people that fit what I'm trying to do. But at the same time, I only want to spend my time there too. Like, I don't want to waste my time with the others. Now, at the end of the day, you're going to get some smoke screens. You're going to get, people are going to be, they're going to put up some blocks because they're being pitched. They're being, they see the different ads. They've been through Fishers, whatever it is. They're going to throw those blocks up, and you just need to work through those potential smoke screens because that's all it is. They say they don't want to pay an advisor, smoke screen. They say they just want to go through taxes, smoke screen. They say they do it themselves, smoke screen. That's all it is. They wouldn't book an appointment with you if they didn't want some sort of help. So we need to work through it and just know how to, one, give them what they want, and then put them back onto your agenda. Okay? So give them what they want, and then have them follow your agenda. Have them, usually what I do is I just say, here's how this typically works. I'm going to help build a retirement plan. There's no cost. You can do whatever you want with it at the end of the day. However, if you decide you don't want to do any of this, you want some help with it, then you can ask for help. Does that seem fair? Great. Okay. So when we go through this whole thing, I just need to know, you just need to help paint the picture for me. What do you want? And then I'll go help build it. I have no agenda here as far as I have no sales pitch. I know you're waiting for it. I don't have a sales pitch. This is really about you. So just you tell me what you want and what you're trying to get, and I'll help build that for you. But while we're going through this, I'm going to have to ask you a lot of questions. Is that okay? Sure. All right, great. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Basically asking questions it's hard to say no to, right? I'm just here to help. Is that okay? Of course it is. It's not a sales pitch. Are you comfortable with that? Of course they're going to say, yes, I'm comfortable with that. Can I ask you a lot of questions to make sure I'm on the right track? Yes, of course. So it's all about how you phrase it, right? Like how do they say no to that kind of stuff?
I mean, the doctor's a great analogy, right? If you're sick, right, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with you. It's funny because I'll see my brother-in-law, he was an ER doctor, if something hurts or something happened with one of the kids or something major, right? Or we were out golfing, someone fainted, and he walks up. He's not supposed to, I guess, I don't know, because of liability. But someone fainted, he walks over, so how are you doing? Good, okay. Did you just faint? Yeah, all right. Have you had any water? Okay, do you feel sweaty? You'll ask certain questions could it be a heart attack? Could it be, and the way you ask the questions. And the funny thing is people are kind of, they're not always open, right? They're kind of no, I'm fine. But he just knows how to keep asking questions to get to the potential root and then feel good about saying, all right, this is what it probably is. Okay. I know we use the doctor analogy all the time, but it's kind of the same thing that's going on here that you need to take people through. Even when people go to the emergency room, they put up smoke screens because they don't want to, they just want to get their medicine and get the heck out of there. A doctor still has to diagnose the issue, right? So, going forward, hopefully this helps you guys as far as getting through some of the smoke screens. I didn't give you, I don't know if I gave like a ton of solutions other than just working through it or give them what they want. And that's all you really need to do. I know it seems a little easy, but honestly, just give them what they want. Tell them you'll give them what they want and you'll get right through it. It'll let the guard down, and just be upfront with them. Just tell them, hey, this is the way we network. Sometimes people want to work with us. Sometimes they don't. Is that okay with you? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go. It's that simple. I don't know. Why do we make it so difficult? Or I don't know why we just stop with the process so fast. So, Josh, I know it's been a little while since we did our last one. We did a lot of travel here the last few weeks over the summer here. So it's good to be back in the saddle, so to speak. It's a chair. Back in the chair. Glad to teach you how to talk in your microphone again.
Thank you. Like, it's been a while, all right? I'm out of practice, but yeah, good. Appreciate it.
Thanks for not breathing in it too. Just, I missed making fun of you sometimes. That's all.
This is fun. All right, let's end the podcast here. It was great talking to you guys. Have a great day.
All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.